What if your normal morning turned into the moment humanity changed forever? Imagine sipping coffee when every screen on Earth lights up, not with a glitch, but with a message from a radiant alien ambassador declaring a shocking new law. Every human must marry two extraterrestrial beings to save Earth and join a vast galactic alliance. Sounds impossible? For Liam Carter, an ordinary guy with an ordinary life, this is just the beginning of an unimaginable journey across love, identity, and the fate of two worlds. Buckle up, because the stars have spoken, and Earth is no longer alone. If you are new here, then please subscribe this channel and show thumbs up by liking the video. Now let's move toward this wonderful story. Liam Carter never expected the world to end before breakfast. The sun had barely peeked over the skyline when his alarm buzzed its familiar, annoying rhythm. Groggy, he rolled out of bed, nearly tripping over the clothes he didn't bother folding the night before. His tiny apartment smelled faintly of burnt toast from the morning before. He shuffled to the kitchen, made his usual instant coffee, and began scrolling through the news on his phone. The same headlines filled the screen: political arguments, celebrity breakups, climate warnings. Another normal day. He took a sip, wincing at the bitterness. He was about to grab his bag for work when the power flickered. Then every device in the apartment, his phone, laptop, television, lit up with the same blinding blue glow. The lights didn't just turn on, they shimmered, pulsing in perfect sync. It was as if the apartment itself was holding its breath. On every screen appeared a being that didn't look like anything Liam had ever seen. The figure was tall and humanoid, with skin that shimmered like ocean water and eyes like quiet stars. Elegant silver lines traced patterns across its body, and thin, glowing ribbons flowed behind it like a cloak. It smiled, or at least Liam thought it was a smile. "People of Earth," it said, its voice melodic, calm, and somehow instantly understood in every language. "I am Ambassador Nairi of the Astral Accord. We come in peace and with purpose. After centuries of quiet observation, we now offer you an invitation to join the wider galaxy." Liam froze, his mug slipping from his hands and shattering on the tile floor. He barely noticed. "You may feel overwhelmed. That is understandable," Nairi continued, unfazed by the global shock. "But the situation on your planet has reached a point of concern. Your species is clever, emotional, and full of promise. But you are also dangerously divided, and your world grows more fragile." Each day, the ambassador paused. Liam could hear his heart pounding in his ears. To help Earth transition into the galactic community and avoid further decline, the Council has passed a motion. Within the next solar year, each human citizen is required to enter into a union with two beings from other member worlds. These bonds are not just personal. They are diplomatic, cultural, and biological bridges to a shared future. Liam blinked. "Marriage? With aliens? Our goal is unity through understanding," Nairi said. "You will be matched based on compatibility, temperament, and biology. Through these unions, we aim to ensure humanity's survival, expand your access to advanced technology, and repair your planet with help from those who have done the same elsewhere. Non-compliance will result in relocation to protective enclaves for your safety and monitoring." Then, just like that, the broadcast ended. The apartment fell silent except for the faint sound of city sirens in the distance. Liam slowly stepped backward and sat on his couch, dazed. His phone buzzed nonstop. Texts from his sister Danny, alerts from news stations, social media exploding with confusion, anger, excitement. One friend messaged, "You believe this alien Tinder thing is real?" Another simply wrote, "We're doomed." He stood, stumbling toward his window. Outside, people gathered in the streets pointing at the sky. Some cheered, others screamed. News drones hovered overhead. Protesters had already taken to the sidewalks with handmade signs. One read, "We are not pets." Another, "Alien husbands." Or bust. The madness had begun. Liam rubbed his eyes. Could this really be happening? Yesterday, his biggest concern had been a late project at work. Now he was apparently required to marry not one but two aliens. Aliens. He hadn't even managed to maintain a normal relationship on Earth. His last breakup had ended with a plant thrown at his head and a very passive-aggressive Spotify playlist. He glanced at his reflection in the hallway mirror. 29, average height. Brown hair, kind of floppy. Brown eyes. Pale. Not unattractive, just forgettable. The idea that a being from another planet would choose him felt laughable. Why him? His phone buzzed again. A government alert. An interspecies registration portal had just gone live. Applicants were encouraged to sign up for initial screening to avoid penalties. It even included a personality quiz. Liam stared at the screen. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He slumped onto the couch, scrolling through memes that had already popped up online. Someone had drawn a cartoon of themselves, holding tentacles with the caption, "Me and my alien wife's gonna get boba." He chuckled despite himself. Then he opened the portal. He paused. His finger hovered over the screen. This was it. Once he clicked submit, there was no going back. Maybe none of this was real. Maybe it was a mass hallucination. But deep down, Liam knew it wasn't. The world had changed. Whether he was ready or not, the universe had finally knocked on Earth's door. With a deep breath, he tapped the button. Application submitted. And just like that, Liam Carter took his first small step toward something far bigger than himself. He didn't know what came next. But one thing was certain. The stars had spoken, and Earth was listening. 3 days after submitting his application, Liam Carter stood in a long line outside the Interspecies Matching Center, clutching a government-issued datapad that buzzed gently in his hand. The building itself didn't look like anything made by humans. It shimmered like liquid metal, rising in twisting, elegant curves toward the sky. Lights danced across its surface, not flashing, but flowing like water under moonlight. The line was packed with nervous humans, some dressed like they were heading to a blind date, others like they were bracing for an alien exam. Liam had gone with a simple collared shirt and clean jeans which suddenly felt either too casual or way too formal. He couldn't tell anymore. The murmurs around him were filled with gossip, speculation, and a healthy dose of panic. One man, behind him, was loudly whispering about alien pheromones. A woman in front kept practicing introductions in what sounded like 6 different languages, just in case. Liam's own thoughts were a mess of questions. What if they didn't like him? What if he didn't like them? What if he was allergic to space pollen? Inside the building, the walls hummed quietly, and the air smelled faintly of lavender and something metallic. Liam was directed by a floating orb to follow a glowing path which guided him to a small waiting room that looked like it belonged in a very fancy spaceship. A sleek console on the wall lit up with his name. Liam Carter. Welcome. Your first candidate will arrive shortly. He barely had time to adjust his collar before the door opened with a soft swish, revealing a tall, slender being that moved with the grace of a breeze. Her skin was a deep, rich green with textures that resembled moss, and delicate vines cascaded down from her head like hair. Her eyes were the color of spring leaves after rain, bright and calm. She wore a soft robe of living petals that shifted colors as she walked. "I am Mira," she said, her voice gentle and layered, as if 2 harmonies spoke at once. "Of the Arboreal Collective. I'm very pleased to meet you, Liam of Earth." He stood awkwardly and shook her hand, which was cool and soft, like velvet. "Hi, yeah. I'm Liam. You're very impressive." She smiled, or something, close to it, and sat across from him. They talked about their homes, hers a floating forest on a planet with 6 moons, his a cramped apartment near a noisy train line. Mira explained that her species valued balance, growth, and the deep connection between all living things. She was a biologist, working to restore damaged ecosystems across star systems. Liam admitted he didn't know much about biology beyond keeping houseplants alive, mostly. But when he told her about his love of hiking, and how he used to take long walks through the woods just to clear his mind, her eyes lit up. They talked about Earth's trees and the idea of roots and growth, and for the first time Liam felt like he wasn't just talking to an alien. He was talking to someone who understood him. Their session ended too quickly. Mira stood and offered him a tiny sprout, cradled in a pouch of glowing moss. "A seed of my world," she said, "to remind you that connection is the first step to something beautiful." Before he could say more, the console chimed again. "Candidate 2 is ready." The next room was a completely different world. It was dim, filled with swirling lights and soft music that didn't seem to come from any direction, but instead floated in the air like fog. The walls pulsed slowly with shifting colors, and Liam felt as if he'd stepped inside a dream. A shape materialized in front of him, almost dancing into form. The figure was tall and luminous, with skin that glowed like starlight. Her hair drifted around her head in a slow spiral like a comet's tail. Her eyes sparkled like galaxies. "Liam Carter," she said, her voice a soft chime. "I am Solari, of the Fotari. I've waited to meet you." Liam blinked. "Waited?" "Yes," she said, stepping closer. "Your profile spoke of wonder, of curiosity. We find those traits beautiful." Solari explained that her people were made of light and memory. They traveled through the stars not just with ships, but through thought, through frequency. She was an artist of space itself, creating displays of cosmic emotion that could be seen across systems. Liam didn't understand half of what she said, but he was captivated. Her way of speaking wasn't just poetic. It felt like she was showing him feelings directly. When she spoke of loneliness, he felt a cold silence. When she spoke of joy, it warmed his chest like sunlight. She reached out and touched his hand, and for a moment he saw flashes of her world. Glowing cities, music that moved like rivers, skies filled with dancing lights. It was overwhelming and beautiful. "Your kind," she whispered, "brings energy we have forgotten. You burn so quickly but so brightly." When their meeting ended, Liam was quiet. Two aliens, two incredible beings. One offered roots, the other, stars. As he left the center that night, a soft rain began to fall. He didn't notice. His mind was too full. He had choices to make, and nothing had ever felt more impossible or more important. Liam Carter had never made a decision that felt so huge and so strange at the same time. 2 weeks after meeting Mira and Solari, he found himself sitting in front of a council of alien representatives on a station orbiting Earth. The room looked like something from a science fiction movie: hovering lights, floating screens, and beings from a dozen different worlds watching him closely. With a dry mouth and trembling hands, Liam had to speak the words he'd been practicing over and over. "I accept the union," with both Mira and Solari. A gentle chime rang through the air. The council members nodded, and just like that, his new life officially began. The next day, he boarded the Astral Concorde, a massive ship that looked like a silver feather drifting through space. It was his transport to the interspecies living station where couples from all over the galaxy were gathering to begin their new lives. Mira greeted him with a calm smile, her leafy vines braided with small, glowing blossoms. Solari shimmered. Beside her, glowing slightly brighter in what Liam was learning was her version of excitement. They both welcomed him with open warmth. It felt strange, surreal, but comforting too. As the ship left Earth's orbit, Liam looked out at the shrinking blue planet. His heart ached, but not with regret. He knew he was stepping away from everything familiar, but he also felt, deep in his chest, that he was walking toward something greater. Over the next few days, the ship became his new reality. Its corridors shifted depending on who walked through them, changing shape and light for each species. His room adjusted to his preferences: Earth-like gravity, soft lighting, and furniture that looked almost human. But that was the easy part. The real challenge came with what the station called biological harmonization. To live safely with other species, especially in environments not designed for humans, Liam had to undergo a small procedure. Nothing scary, they promised, just enhancements to help his body adapt to new conditions. It would make him more aware of certain energy signals, improve communication with nonverbal species, and reduce the chance of his immune system freaking out over every alien bacteria. The doctor in charge, a being made of shifting crystals named Drin, explained everything patiently. Liam signed the consent form with a shaking hand. The process felt like stepping into a warm mist. He floated, weightless, as light pulsed around him. Memories flickered, childhood, laughter, heartbreak, coffee in the morning sun. Then came flashes of something new. Root networks, starlight pulses, a heartbeat that wasn't quite his own. When he came to, he felt different. Not wrong, not in pain, just more. His vision had sharpened. He could sense the soft hum of energy from other beings. And he understood Mira and Solari in a deeper way even when they didn't speak. Mira tested his new awareness with a gentle game. She led him to a garden chamber filled with alien plants. Without using words, she asked him to find one that needed help. He walked among them, closed his eyes, and felt a soft sadness coming from a drooping blue-leafed vine in the corner. Mira smiled, impressed. "You're learning," she said softly. Solari's test was more abstract. She took Liam into a dark chamber lit only by shifting colors. She touched his forehead and suddenly he was seeing music, hearing colors. He laughed, overwhelmed but amazed. They floated together in that light for what felt like hours, connected by something more than thought. But not everything was magical. Liam struggled with the constant strangeness around him. Food was unfamiliar, some of it glowing, some of it pulsing. At one point, he accidentally drank what turned out to be a mood-altering nectar and spent the next 4 hours trying to explain the concept of toast to a floating jellyfish. Mira gently grounded him when he felt overwhelmed. Solari made him laugh when things got too serious. Together, they helped him adjust. What surprised him most was how real everything began to feel. These weren't just curious aliens anymore. Mira had a dry sense of humor and a deep love for quiet places. Solari was a dreamer, always asking him what Earth sunsets felt like, even though she could create her own. They weren't just partners from another world. They were people with their own worries, passions, and quirks. Liam found purpose in the work the station offered. He joined a communication team, helping other humans adjust to life off-world. His unique position, part Earthling, part something new, made him a natural translator of culture, a bridge between species. It gave him confidence he hadn't known he was missing. One night, as he sat between Mira and Solari on a viewing platform, watching distant stars drift by, he felt something click. For the first time, he didn't feel like a guest in someone else's world. He felt like he belonged. He looked at Mira, who was gently weaving glowing vines into a small wreath, then at Solari, whose light was dim and soft, signaling peace. "I don't know what comes next," he said quietly, "but I'm glad I said yes." Mira touched his hand. Growth always begins with a step into the unknown. Solari smiled. "And now, you shine brighter than ever." Liam leaned back and closed his eyes. He wasn't just Liam Carter from Earth anymore. He was something more. A bridge. A symbol. A beginning. Liam Carter stood at the edge of a vast garden that floated hundreds of feet above the surface of a new world. Beneath him, vines wove through the air like living ropes, supporting bridges, homes, and towers built from glowing wood and pulsing light. This place, known as Soralia, was not Earth, and yet somehow it had begun to feel like home. The air was thick with the scent of alien flowers, and the sky shifted colors gently with the passing sun. Life here was different, strange, and beautiful. It had been nearly 3 months since Liam agreed to his union with Mira and Solari. In that time, he had not only adapted to their world, but also started to contribute something truly meaningful. With Mira's knowledge of biology and Solari's connection to cosmic energies, the trio had begun a project unlike anything before. A new species of plant, part Earth, part cerulean, designed to help restore broken ecosystems on both planets. They called it Eleron, which meant hope in bloom in Mira's language. One morning, as Liam crouched to check the moisture of the soil beneath one of the young sprouts, a message blinked into existence above his datapad. It was from Earth. He tapped it open, and the screen filled with a grim face. Director Bennett from the Earth Climate Emergency Council. Her tone was urgent. "Liam, we need your help. Something's changed. The Earth's atmosphere is breaking, down faster than we expected. The data is unstable. And there's something else. A rogue celestial body is heading toward the solar system. We believe it could impact Earth's orbit." The words hit him like a punch. Liam stood up, stunned. His heart pounded in his chest. Earth, his home, was in danger again. He showed the message to Mira and Solari without a word. Mira's leafy hair turned a pale shade of blue, a sign of deep concern. Solari's glow dimmed, her light pulsing in uneven rhythms. "This is not just an environmental crisis," Solari said. "This is an existential one." Liam acted quickly. He requested an audience with the Interstellar Council and gathered the research data he, Mira, and Solari had collected from their work on Eleron. Their hybrid plant could thrive in polluted soil, absorb toxic gases, and rebuild damaged ground. But to help Earth, it needed to be mass-produced, something that would require cooperation from dozens of alien species and approval from the strict Galactic Bioethics Committee. In a towering chamber filled with beings from every corner of the Yao galaxy, Liam stood before the council. His voice shook at first, but grew stronger with every sentence. "I know Earth isn't perfect," he said, "but we've come a long way. I've seen what's possible when we connect instead of divide. The plant we've created, Eleron, isn't just a symbol of that. It's a tool that could give my world a second chance. I'm not asking for charity, I'm asking for partnership." The council deliberated. Some were skeptical, others were intrigued. It wasn't until Solari projected the energy maps of Earth's failing systems, overlaid with simulated growth of the Alaran plant, that real change began. Mira followed with a detailed proposal to deliver billions of seed pods across the globe, within a month using fast-growing techniques from her homeworld. A vote was called. The motion passed. Within days, Liam and his partners were on a starship bound for Earth, carrying with them thousands of seedlings and a fleet of support vessels. As their ship entered the atmosphere, Liam gazed down at the world below. His heart ached to see the changes. Giant dust storms moved across continents. Coastlines had retreated. Cities looked dim, their power rationed. But even in the brokenness, there was life. The arrival of the alien vessels caused panic at first. Some people feared invasion. Others feared false hope. But when the first wave of Eleron was planted, and dead fields turned green in days, the mood began to shift. Liam visited sites across the globe, schools, farms, deserts, planting alongside communities. He answered questions, reassured leaders, and reminded people that this wasn't magic. It was science, cooperation, and hope. His proudest moment came in a small village in South America. A girl no older than 10 stood holding an Eleron sprout. "Can I name it?" she asked. "It's going to live here now." Liam knelt beside her. "Yes," he said. "You can name it anything you want." She smiled and whispered, "Skyroot." Weeks passed, and Earth began to recover. Temperatures stabilized, water returned to places long thought dry. Crops grew. But the biggest change was in the people. They started looking at the stars not with fear, but with wonder. Liam, Mira, and Solari stood once more on Earth's soil, their bond stronger than ever. As a thank you, Earth's Global Council announced a new position. Liam would serve as Earth's first official ambassador to the galactic community. His work had saved his home, but it was also the beginning of something new. On their last night before returning to Soralia, Liam walked through a restored forest with Mira and Solari. The moon hung full above them. The air was clean, the stars bright. He reached into his coat pocket and took out a small pod from their original Eleron test plant. He knelt and planted it beneath a tall oak. "This one," he said, "stays here." Solari's light shimmered. Mira's vines wrapped gently around his hand. In the silence among the trees and stars, a single seed began to grow, proof that even in the darkest times, something beautiful can take root. Liam smiled. The story wasn't over. Not even close.